Good evening, dear students. Today, my topic is congenital heart disease, its developmental aspect. So, the topic is a large one, very large one, and I know most of you do not like to view the videos which are much more longer in duration. So, everyone wants to undergo a short video regarding any topic, but I am sorry because I am helpless in this regard in this topic, because this topic a huge one. But still, good news for you, I have made it as far as possible shorter and compact, so that you can just get a rough idea about the topic and its intricacies. In future, in final year of your MBBS curriculum, in medicine and in pediatrics, you will able to read these topics, each and everything, in very great detail, so that you can easily understand the different scenario, different clinical scenario in case of original patients when you see in wards or your practical personal chambers. So this is very important from that aspect. Only I will tell the anatomical developmental aspect of various congenital heart disease. Now, what is congenital heart disease? Normal course of development of various chambers of the heart, you know already by now. So my point is, when any problem, any pathology, any disturbances occur in the process of normal development of heart and its various structures and chambers, then a defect arises, then a congenital heart disease arises, with which the embryo grows. Ultimately, the baby is delivered and he or she have those clinical problems of those congenital heart disease. So congenital heart disease is of two types. One is, you can see, cyanotic heart disease. One is acyanotic heart disease. So what does the term cyanotic and acyanotic mean? The term cyanotic means, clinically you will be able to see the baby or the boy or the girl or the patient who is almost bluish purplish in color, skin color, having low saturation of oxygen in his or her blood. And acyanotic is just the opposite. That means he is not having any cyanosis clinically. So basically we divide in two subsections. One is cyanotic and one is simply acyanotic. Now, cyanotic heart disease is basically due to underlying pathology of right to left shunt. Remember this throughout your life. This is basically the due to right to left shunt. Now, right to left shunt means of that occurs of two types: decreased pulmonary blood flow, decreased oxygen saturation, and another is with mixed blood flow. That means oxygen saturation is mixed with normal blood. So now we will go to the point. Decreased pulmonary blood flow occurs in which cases? Number one is tetralogy of Fallot. The spelling or pronunciation is not Fallot, it is tetralogy of Fallot, TOF, shortly known as. Number two is tricuspid atresia. Atresia means closure of the valve. So in case it is in tricuspid valve, so it is known as tricuspid atresia. So these two cases we can find decreased pulmonary blood flow. But mixed blood flow occurs in transposition of great vessels or great arteries. That means the position of the aorta, which is emanating from left ventricle, the position of the pulmonary trunk, which is originating from the right ventricle, will be interchanged. That case, in that scenario, it is known as transposition or of great arteries, or TGA shortly. Number two is truncus arteriosus. You know the outflow tract, the ultimate portion is truncus arteriosus, after which the portion is aortic sac and the pharyngeal arteries will arise from there. So number three is total anomalous pulmonary venous circulation, TAPVC. TAPVC is a very rare congenital anomaly, in which case you will find instead of draining 4 pulmonary veins to left atrium, they are draining to right atrium of different nature. I will tell you later on. Now cyanotic part is complete. Now come to the acyanotic part. Acyanotic part again subdivided into two sections. One is left to right shunt, another is obstructive variety. So left to right shunt, but the blood from left side shunts to the right compartment, right side. Left to right shunt is of 4 types. One is ventricular septal defect, the commonest congenital defect. Remember that. One is patent ductus arteriosus. Ductus arteriosus is a structure you might be knowing by this time. Atrial septal defect, very important question, may come as short note. And atrioventricular septal defect, or AVSD, is the 4th one. So these 4 are of left to right shunt variety. Now what is obstructive variety? Pulmonary stenosis, the pulmonary valves are stenosed as that of tricuspid stenosis. Just now we have gone through. Aortic stenosis, the semilunar valve of aorta stenosis. Coarctation of aorta. Coarctation means narrowing of the aorta. Okay, so these 3 are of obstructive. So this is the synopsis of congenital heart disease. If congenital cardiac diseases comes as a short note or long question, you should write in this tabulated or algorithm fashion. Now one thing you notice, relative frequency of major congenital heart disease. So VSD is the highest, 35 to 30%. Atrial septal defect, or of which there are various types of atrial septal defect we will see, of which the ostium secundum type is the commonest. Then patent ductus arteriosus and coarctation of aorta, followed by tetralogy of Fallot, pulmonary valve stenosis and aortic valve stenosis. These are the figures of the prevalence of the congenital heart disease in human being. So you must remember which one is the commonest 1, 2, 3 cases. You must remember. Now congenital heart diseases are clinically classified into cyanotic and acyanotic heart disease based on the presence or absence of central cyanosis. Cyanosis is bluish discoloration. I already told you of skin of the mucous membrane. It occurs an increase in the deoxygenated hemoglobin level in the blood. Now what is dextrocardia? I have not told you in the chart. Dextrocardia is overall total disorder where during the folding of the heart tube, the heart bends leftward instead of rightward. I can show you. This is the folding of the heart tube. Heart bend leftwards instead of normal, it bends rightwards. This is the normal heart and this is the dextrocardia looping. So you see, heart bends leftwards, heart bends rightwards. So after that, this part is enlarged to become ventricle. So this is, in case of normal heart, it will grow towards like this. In case of dextrocardia, just opposite towards the right side. So this is the disorder of looping in very early stage. So during the folding of the heart tube, the heart bends towards left side, rightward. The heart is a mirror image of this dextrocardia, mirror image of the normal heart, and its apex will be toward the right side of the thorax. This condition is known as dextrocardia. Isolated dextrocardia are usually associated with the other congenital anomalies. Remember this. Isolated dextrocardia is usually associated, so search for those anomalies. In dextrocardia with sinus inversus, what happens? Apart from heart, situs inversus. Situs inversus means the site will be inverted opposite. Apart from heart, other visceral organs such as liver, spleen, etc. are also mirror image of a normal heart. An individual with dextrocardia with situs inversus may have a healthy normal life, as other associated congenital anomalies are usually less situs in case of situs persons compared to isolated dextrocardia. So isolated dextrocardia is much more serious. So situs, how do you diagnose situs? Suddenly during any clinical examination by ultrasonography or X-ray chest or listening to the apex beat of the heart, we can notice or we can diagnose the dextrocardia or situs inversus. Now, what is atrial septal defect? The most common variety of atrial septal defect. From the name itself, you can understand the defect in the atrial septum during formation. So, the most common variety of the ASD is the large-sized foramen secundum. So, you can see this is the foramen secundum type. This is the atrial septum. This is the foramen ovale, which is patent. This is also a variety, patent foramen ovale or PFO. This is foramen secundum type. This is sinus venosus type. This is a common atrium. Whole atrium is a single atrium and unroofed coronary sinus. So all these 4 or 5 types of atrial septal defect. That's foramen secundum type, of which this foramen secundum type is the commonest one. You will have to remember that. During MCQ, you may be asked, you may be given, or you may be in Viva, you may be asked by your external. This is due to excessive degeneration of the tissue around the foramen. It also occurs, ASD also occurs when endocardial cushion fail to grow. You know endocardial cushion, I am not going to the detail. As a result, the lower end of the septum primum, so the lower end of the septum primum, here you can see the lower end of the septum primum, this region, lower end of the septum primum does not fuse with the endocardial cushion and foramen primum type defect persists. So we know foramen secundum type, foramen primum type, and sinus venosus type, and persisting foramen ovale type, 4 types. Atrial septal defect allows shunting of blood from left to right atrium. Sometimes there may be a premature closure of foramen ovale, hence blood gets accumulated in right atrium and ventricle. Increased pressure in these chambers leads to their hypertrophy. Remember this also. Now what is VSD? Like ASD, atrial septal defect, there is VSD. Here you can see the picture. This is the atrial septal defect. All atrial septal defects simultaneously do not occur at the same time, but the illustrator has demonstrated the places here for your understanding. So this is superior sinus venous type defect. This is secundum type ASD. This is inferior sinus venosus type defect. This is coronary sinus type defect. This is atrium septum primum type defect. Okay, so all these 5 types of defect you can find in case of ASD. Now what is VSD? Ventricular septal defect is the most common, I told you, most common congenital defect. A defect in the membranous part of the IV septum, interventricular septum, is more common than that of the muscular part. So which part is more common? Membranous part is most common. It could be due to deficit of development of any of the 3 sources which constitute the membranous part of the IV septum, that is endocardial cushion, conotruncal ridge, and muscular part of the IV septum. There is shunting of blood from left to right ventricle as usual, as pressure is more in which ventricle? In the left ventricle. Now come to persistent AV canal, atrioventricular canal. Failure of the endocardial cushion to grow leads to a persistent AV canal, as partition of the AV canal does not take place. So it's accompanied by other defects such as ASD also and VSD, as these septa get contribution also from endocardial cushions, if you remember, in their development. Next come to persistent truncus arteriosus. Persistent truncus PTA occurs due to failure of the formation of conotruncal septum, which is due to the underdeveloped conotruncal ridge. So neural crest cell comes very heavily during the development of this conotruncal region. So absence of neural crest cell or ablation of neural crest cell can give rise to this type of deformity. The outflow tract remains undivided, single, in the proximal part and receives blood from both ventricles, the common. Since the conotruncal ridge also contribute to the development of the membranous part of the IV septum, persistent truncus arteriosus is accompanied by the VSD also. I will show you the picture, then you will be able to understand better. Now tricuspid atresia, closure of tricuspid valve. There is no communication, as it is known as atresia, you can understand better. from the term atresia, there is no communication between the right atrium and right ventricle. So, as a tricuspid valvular opening is absent, the defect is accompanied by other heart anomalies such as mitral, atrial and VSD, atrial septal defect and VSD, hypoplasia of the right ventricle and hyperplasia of the left ventricle. Naturally, no blood is coming to right ventricle, so it will be hypoplastic. More blood is coming to left ventricle, so it will be hyperplastic. And the patent ductus arteriosus also will be finding in this case. So survival of this type of patients depends on the presence of shunts, whether the shunt is present or not. Next come the very important one, the tetralogy of Fallot. You may be given as short note. Tetralogy of Fallot includes 4 heart anomalies. Remember always: pulmonic stenosis, ventricular septal defect or VSD. Number 3 RVH or right ventricular hypertrophy or thickness of the muscle, and overriding of the aorta. That means aorta will more ride to the right ventricle, more riding over the right ventricle, not from the left ventricle as normally occurs. So pulmonic stenosis, VSD, RVH and overriding of aorta, 4 components of tetralogy of Fallot. Pulmonary stenosis is due to forward displacement of the conotruncal septum. It imposes obstruction to the outflow tract of the right ventricle, hence it undergoes hypertrophy. The aorta is positioned toward the right so overriding of it is known as overriding compared to its normal position, hence it may be present above the VSD and receives blood from the both ventricle. Transposition of great vessels. I already told you, transposition of great vessels occurs when the conotruncal septum does not spiral. Normally it is spirally movement during development. Hence the 2 great vessels do not twist around each other. As a result, the right ventricle is connected to aorta, where it was supposed to be connected to left ventricle. So right ventricle is connected to aorta and the left ventricle to the pulmonary trunk. So these are in short. Now again I can show you ASD, ostium secundum most common. The salient features: patent foramen oval, endocardial cushion defects with ostium primum ASD. In case of ostium primum, this will be there. Endocardial cushion defect will be there. That's why it is known as the ostium primum. Sinus venosus ASDs, high ASDs, higher up, common atrium is very rare variety. Now VSD, membranous VSD most common. VSD itself is most common. Of all VSDs, membranous is much more commoner. Muscular VSD, absence of intraventricular septum, totally absence, no trace. Now PTA, persistent truncus arteriosus. Persistent truncus arteriosus results from the failure of the truncal ridge and the aortopulmonary septum to develop normally and divide the truncus arteriosus into the aorta and pulmonary trunk. So PTA occurs. Transposition of great arteries, no need to describe again. You will be able to understand. Aortopulmonary septal defect is a rare condition in which there is an opening or aortic window between the aorta and the pulmonary trunk near the aortic valve. And TAPVC or total anomalous pulmonary venous connection is a rare congenital malformation again in which all 4 pulmonary veins do not connect normally to the left atrium. Instead, they drain abnormally to the right atrium by the way of an abnormal or anomalous connection. It may be of 3 subtypes. One is supracardiac, one is cardiac, and one is infracardiac. Remember this. So, if you are given in question as short note or long question, by reading this, by memorizing this, you can write at least 60% content about any short note from this, and above that you will add a diagram which I am showing to you. These are the easier diagrams. Now this is, you can see the diagram of ASD, clear cut diagram of foramen ostium secundum type. This is ventricular septal defect, it is not united, the ventricular septum. This is persistent atrioventricular septal defect or common atrium, whichever you can call it. So these are the 3 types of ASD, VSD and PAVSD. Now this is the persistent truncus arteriosus. In case of persistent truncus, the common trunk, the zone where blood from both ventricle comes. Already I explained to you. Now this is the tetralogy of Fallot. Tetralogy of Fallot First you see the overriding of aorta. Aorta is more close to right ventricle. Okay, overriding of aorta. Then pulmonic stenosis, it is stenosed pulmonary valve. That's why the pulmonary artery is thinner than the aorta. You notice I have drawn this accordingly, and you will also draw this accordingly. There is a patent ductus arteriosus connection. Then overriding of aorta, pulmonary stenosis, ventricular septal defect, so blood from both sides will come, and right ventricular thickness or hypertrophy. Okay, next one is transposition of great vessels. Transposition of great vessels, you can see the change of position of the both aorta and pulmonary trunk. They should have been twisted to each other, and aorta should have arisen from left ventricle, but in case of transposition of great vessels, it is arising directly from the right ventricle. This is the chest X-ray type which I have tried to depict or draw. This is this type of chest X-ray we find in case of VSD or ventricular septal defect deformity. This is known as core en sabot or boot shaped. It resembles like a boot is lying inside the heart. The shape of the heart is almost a boot shaped heart. So it is core en sabot or boot shaped heart we find in the chest X-ray. Remember, in case of ventricular septal defect. Seeing this type of chest X-ray, you can easily diagnose a VSD patient. Now tricuspid atresia. Here you can see the total closure of the tricuspid valve. So the hypoplastic right ventricle and hyperplastic left ventricle, and the flow of blood, direction of the flow of the blood. Okay, no problem to understand. Now this is total anomalous pulmonary venous connection, TAPVC. In TAPVC, the pulmonary veins are abnormally connected with the conduit and with the right atrium. It's anomalous connection. This is anomalous connection. So this is in short. Now here comes the PDA. It's a different category, patent ductus arteriosus, very important one. PDA is a medical condition in which the ductus arteriosus fails to close after birth. This is basically ductus arteriosus. This structure is ductus arteriosus, normal structure in case of development. Why it is there, you will read in the embryology. Now it fails to close after birth. Normally it closes after birth, few hours, few months, few days after birth. This allows a portion of the oxygenated blood from the left heart to flow back to the lungs by flowing from the aorta, which has a higher pressure. So this, from here the blood will flow back. So aorta is having higher pressure after birth to the pulmonary artery. Now what are the symptoms? Symptoms is dyspnea, or that means shortness of breath, tachycardia, rate of the heart increases, continuous machinery murmur, usually from aorta to pulmonary artery blood flows continuously. That's why we can auscultate by stethoscope the continuous machinery murmur, which is pathognomonic for this PDA. Cardiomegaly, that means enlarged heart, reflecting ventricular dilatation and volume overload. Bounding pulse, we will notice widened pulse pressure. Pulse pressure means the difference or the between systolic blood pressure and diastolic blood pressure. So SBP minus DBP is equal to pulse pressure, that is widened. Increased cardiac output, increased systolic pressure, differential cyanosis. You have known the term cyanosis, but what is differential cyanosis? The cyanosis of the lower extremity occurs, but not the upper one. So both the upper limb, that means hands, are red and the limbs are blue. Very interesting case. Differential cyanosis occurs in case of PDA. Now what are the complications of PDA? Heart failure may occur, Eisenmenger syndrome may occur, and other names we call it persistent ductus arteriosus. Next is coarctation of aorta. Coarctation of aorta, you can see very well the narrowing of aorta here, here, here and here. We can find the narrowing of the sudden abrupt narrowing of the aorta, which is known as coarctation of the aorta. So coarctation of aorta occurs maybe in relation to the ductus arteriosus, and we name them accordingly. after the ductus, if the coarctation occurs, then we call it post-ductal coarctation. Before the ductus arteriosus, if the coarctation occurs, we call it preductal coarctation. This is post-ductal coarctation and extensive preductal coarctation. So sign symptom is not required at your level. So I think by this short presentation I have able to explain it to you. Okay, thank you for the day.